Good morning, Kyle and Sandra. Thanks for taking some time out today to meet with me. I wanted to thank you. I know we started this process, first meeting, looking for you guys to seek information and recommendations from me to build a financial plan and set out to have a successful financial future. So I wanted to sit down with you today and meet and talk a little bit about that plan, some of the recommendations that I'd like to go through, some strengths and opportunities that I've found in everything that you've given me. So I wanted to first say thank you for providing all of the robust information that we asked for. So when we look at financial success and going through some of these plans, I wanted to kind of step through the process itself to kind of give you a good overview. I know we talked about this in our initial meeting, but again, first it starts with you seeking this advice and reaching out. Secondly, providing great robust data and information on your financials and your background and your goals and everything that you'd like to achieve moving forward in the future. Once we gather that information, set goals, and look towards the future, comes in me. My job is to take that information and analyze it and see what we're currently working with, where we currently stand. After analyzing the information, it's about developing a plan, and that's what we've done now, and coming back to communicate that to you. Now, developing a plan only goes so far. After developing that plan, the next step would be to look to implement that plan. Now, this is where then the relationship and the partnership moves forward. Once we implement the plan, then of course life can change. So it's not a static, still picture in time. The plan gets us started off of the information that you've given me, and then from there we will work together, meeting periodically. I would encourage you to be very open and honest with me as time goes by. If life events happen, feelings about your finances change, and keep me involved with that, so then we can constantly develop and change that plan so that it fits who you guys are and your family and your financial goals moving forward. So we talked a little bit about implementing and then monitoring those recommendations. So let's talk a little bit about the recommendations here in the plan that I've given you. Let's talk first broadly about some strengths and opportunities that I have noticed looking through some of your information. I think that'll be a good spot to get started here when we look at your particular plan. So some real good positives here when I look at strengths. Definitely having a two-income household is very positive. Positive cash flow. So one of the first things we're going to look at, that cash flow statement, whether we have a positive or a surplus or a deficit. Kyle, definitely being a small business owner, having that freedom to work for yourself, kind of the unlimited upward momentum that you have from that. Overall, I feel like your debt management is good. And then lastly, receiving some inheritance. Everybody in the family has received some inheritance. So that means generations prior to you have done a good job, and that's always a good thing to have. A couple opportunity areas that I have noticed going through everything, things that I'd like to work on with you, I think that are really going to help strengthen your financial plan and your success moving forward. Finding ways to increase your emergency fund, starting to plan and save for college for the children, finding ways to increase your retirement savings, analyzing the inheritance that we talked about earlier, and also looking at rental properties and making appropriate decisions and changes moving forward. And then lastly, expanding on your estate planning, which is one of the goals or questions that you had asked me to go over. So with that, I think that's a good segue. Let's jump into the estate planning here. So, turn into our plan here. So, specifically, you'd asked me to provide top 3 priorities in regards to starting to putting together estate planning. More specifically, you asked me if you're adequately prepared if either both or one of you should pass away while the children are still dependent. So, 3 priorities that I would like to put out there for you. Now, first of all, these are going to come with meeting with an estate attorney. I think that's crucial to start that relationship with somebody who can help put together these documents and the recommendations that we're talking about. Now, first, in the information provided, I know you have a simple will at this point in time. I would recommend looking at creating a living will. Now, what the living will is going to do is it's going to allow you to create instructions for healthcare professionals, exactly how you want to be taken care of in any type of extreme circumstance. These are basically put out there instructions that are going to allow the doctors and healthcare professionals to help best assist you in an extreme time of need. Now, something to supplement that with would be a durable power of attorney for healthcare. Now, that living will, again, doesn't assign anybody to help out in any kind of times of need or make any decisions. It's just instructions to the healthcare professionals. Now, that durable power of attorney for healthcare is going to help then supplement that. It's going to appoint a third party, somebody that you trust, to also help make decisions in case you were to become incapacitated. Decisions above and beyond instructions from the living will. Secondly, I would say establishing guardians is a must. It's something with young children that, again, you asked the question of either one or both were to pass. Establishing guardians and somebody who you trust to make sound financial decisions is going to be something that is going to be crucial. Lastly, out there, looking at that small business, again, a huge positive. I would look at succession planning to plan for those next steps for, let's say if it is something with the kids, you're going to pass it along, but maybe they're not old enough. Where do you bridge that gap in between that to get that business and that piece, that crucial asset in your family onto the children themselves? So overall, again, meeting with a estate planning attorney as soon as possible, develop that relationship, and going over some of these priorities so that you can be prepared for the future. Because at this point in time, I will say that I don't know if you are adequately prepared or planned for a scenario where either one or both were to pass while the children are still dependents. I think some of these priorities need to be taken care of first in order to help protect them. Speaking of the children, another piece I wanted to cover here real quick was you talked about the college savings portion, and you wanted me to look specifically at some numbers, taking into account a couple of assumptions in regards to the lump sum that you would need to invest today to fund your children's future college costs. So when we look at Bobby, the number that came out here with 8 years until attending school, 4 years of school, the initial lump sum came out to $120,710.78. Blair, attending in school in 13 years, attending school for 4 years, the lump sum would be $146,863.14. And lastly, Brittany, attending school in 16 years for a 4-year period, the lump sum would be $165,201.02. Now, there's many different ways to save for college. You specifically asked around the 529 plans, a very applicable use for saving, a tool that most people use. Now, you asked specifically what the maximum amount you could contribute. to that 529 without incurring any gift taxes. So currently, as laws state, gift tax laws, you would be able to contribute up to 14,000 per plan. So you could have a plan for each child, or you may also contribute a lump sum of $70,000 at once, which would count for contributions for the next 5 years. So, with all that being said, definitely an opportunity to start saving and make sure that your children have financial future that they can stand on. They can go to school. They can pay. You can pay for school for them, and definitely a crucial piece to look at. Now we will move further into the plan, but I just wanted to ask if you had any more questions. If not, we will move forward.